The emergency alert went out at 2:17 in the morning, but I was the dispatcher on duty, and I hadn't sent it. Every phone in Bellwether screamed at once. Mine vibrated across the console while the county-issued handset lit up beside it. Through the reinforced glass separating dispatch from the sheriff's office, I heard phones chirping in empty desks, locked evidence rooms, and dark hallways. The message contained 3 lines: shelter in place, lock all doors, do not respond to anyone outside. No storm warning, no chemical spill, no armed suspect. Nothing on my board. I checked the fire channels first. Silent, then police. 2 deputies were parked near the interstate dealing with a drunk driver. The third was asleep in the break room 20 feet behind me. I pulled up the county alert system and opened the transmission history. There was no alert. I refreshed it. Still nothing. The phones continued vibrating throughout the building. I called Deputy Serrano in the field. She answered immediately. What happened? I was about to ask you. You sent the alert? No. A pause. What do you mean, no? I mean it didn't come from this terminal. Could the state have issued it? The state doesn't have access to our local code. Another pause, longer this time. In the background, I heard her cruiser engine idling and the faint hiss of her radio. Cancel it, she said. I'm trying. I entered my authorization number. Request denied. I tried the emergency override. Request denied, then the dispatch monitors flickered. For half a second, every map, call queue, and police location disappeared. A black screen replaced them. White letters appeared in the center monitor. Exercise in progress. Then everything returned. The 911 line rang. I reached for it before the first full tone ended. Bellwether County Emergency Services, what is your location? Breathing answered me, slow, shallow, close to the receiver. I straightened in my chair. Can you tell me where you are? A woman whispered. Noah? My hand tightened around the headset. The room seemed to shrink around me. Who is this? You have to listen. I knew the voice, not because it sounded familiar, because I had spent 18 months trying to forget it. I opened the recording panel with one hand and watched the call timer begin. 0009, 0010. Lena? Her breath caught. For one impossible second, neither of us spoke. Lena Ward had disappeared 18 months earlier. Her car had been found beside the North Reservoir with the driver's door open and her shoes placed neatly near the water. Search crews dragged the shallows for 3 days. Divers went deeper on the 4th. Nothing was found except one of her earrings lodged between 2 rocks. The sheriff called it a presumed drowning. People in Bellwether called it suicide. I called her number every night for 6 weeks. Where are you? I asked. Not on this line. What? They monitor dispatch. They monitor everything. Her voice sounded thinner than I remembered. There was a tremor beneath it, but she was controlling it. Lena had always sounded calmest when she was most afraid. Tell me your location. I don't know the address. Look around. Tell me what you see. A metallic bang echoed behind her. She stopped breathing. I heard something scrape across concrete. Lena? I'm here. Are you hurt? Yes, the word came out too quickly. Who hurt you? I can't explain it all. There isn't time. Then give me something useful. I regretted the sharpness as soon as I said it. 18 months of grief had turned to anger before I could stop it. But Lena did not react. Do you remember the night behind Miller's garage? She whispered. I looked at the locked dispatch door. What about it? You said you'd leave Bellwether before you turned 30. I told you that you'd make it 3 days before coming back because you couldn't sleep without hearing the grain elevator. My throat closed. No one knew about that conversation. We had been 24, drunk, and sitting on the roof of Miles Kerr's garage while a storm moved across the fields. I had never repeated it. What did I say after that? I asked. You said I was the only reason you stayed. The words hit harder than the sound of her voice. I pulled up the location trace. The system searched for 2 seconds. Call origin, Bellwether County Dispatch. I stared at the screen. The call was coming from inside the building. I looked through the glass again. The sheriff's office was dark. The hallway beyond it was empty. Lena, are you in the station? No, the system says. The system lies. Another noise sounded near her. Not scraping this time. Footsteps. Lena lowered her voice until I could barely hear her. They built another bellwether. I glanced at the call trace again. What does that mean? Underneath. Underneath what? The town. I said nothing. She continued before I could decide whether she was confused, drugged, or both. There's a main street, the diner, the church, houses. They copied everything they needed. Who did? I don't know all their names. Are you underground? Yes. Near the quarry? The line went silent. Then she whispered, How do you know about the quarry? I don't. I'm guessing. Don't guess out loud. Her panic was immediate. A door opened somewhere near her. I heard a man's voice, distant and distorted by the room. Sector 3 reset in 5 minutes. Lena pressed something against the receiver. Her breathing became muffled. I checked the recording indicator. The call was still being captured. Listen to me, she said. The alert means they're moving someone. Who? I don't know. Are they moving you? No, I'm retained. The way she said it made the words sound official. What does retained mean? They use you again. I forced myself to stay focused. Can you get out? I got to a service phone. That's all. I can send deputies to the quarry. No. Lena, no police, no fire department, no one connected to the county. Then who am I supposed to call? That's why I called you. Something struck a door near her. She gasped. Noah, check tomorrow's exercise list. What exercise list? It's hidden in the scheduling system. Search continuity, then participant. I typed the words into the internal database. No results. Nothing's coming up. Administrative archive. Use Porter's access. Chief Porter's login had been deactivated after his retirement 6 months earlier. Or it should have been. I entered the credentials from memory. He had never changed his password during the 7 years I worked beneath him. The archive opened. Hundreds of folders appeared. Most were labeled with dates and strings of numbers. Lena, I'm in. Tomorrow night. Find the red file. I searched by date. One folder appeared with a red marker beside it. Full-scale continuity exercise. The file contained a list of coded participants, equipment requests, medical personnel, and transport windows. One name appeared without a code. Vance, Noah. Primary civilian. My skin went cold. Lena. They put you in the exercise, she said. That means they know you've been looking. I stopped looking a year ago. No. You stopped asking questions. That isn't the same thing. Heavy footsteps approached her phone. She spoke faster. When the second alert comes, don't go home. Don't go to Miles. Don't trust anyone who tells you this is a drill. Where do I find you? You don't. I'm not leaving you there. That's what they expect. The footsteps stopped. A man spoke close to her. Step away from the phone. Lena inhaled sharply. Lena? The call ended. I immediately opened the recording. The file was gone. I checked the call history. No incoming call appeared at 2:17. No trace. No number. No duration. Only an empty gap in the system log. Then my mouse moved without my hand. The cursor crossed the screen and closed the archive folder. A small notification appeared in the corner. Remote administrator connected. I pulled the network cable from the back of the terminal. The monitors went black. Behind me, the deputy in the break room continued snoring. I stood slowly and looked toward the dispatch entrance. 3 locks secured the steel door. None of them could be opened from the hallway without a badge. Someone knocked from the other side. 3 soft taps. I checked the security camera. The hallway was empty. The knocking came again. This time, a woman's voice followed it. Noah, Lena said from the other side of the door. Let me in. I did not open the door. Lena knocked again. Noah, please. Her voice was perfect. I backed away from the entrance and reached beneath the console for the emergency shotgun. The steel cabinet required 2 keys. Mine opened the first lock. The watch commander carried the second. The deputy asleep in the break room had it clipped to his belt. "Deputy Harlan," I called. He did not answer. The handle on the dispatch door moved. Once, twice. Whoever stood outside had tried the badge reader and discovered the locks were still engaged. "Noah," Lena said. "They found me." I kept my eyes on the security monitor. The hallway remained empty. "Tell me what I said behind Miller's garage," I called. Silence. Then, "You said I was the only reason you stayed." The same words she had spoken on the phone. Not an answer. A recording. I grabbed the desk radio. "Harlan, wake up," Static answered. The break room door stood 6 feet behind me. I crossed to it and kicked it open. Deputy Harlan was sprawled on the couch, boots on, mouth open. An empty coffee cup rested on the floor beside him. I shook his shoulder. Nothing. I pressed 2 fingers to his neck, a steady pulse. His breathing was slow but normal. I slapped his cheek. Harlan. His eyelids fluttered without opening. The coffee cup smelled faintly medicinal beneath the burnt sugar. The knocking stopped. I took Harlan's keys, opened the gun cabinet, and returned to the security screen. The hallway was still empty. Then the image jumped. Only a fraction of a second. The clock in the lower corner changed from 2:21:08 to 2:23:41. The camera had not been showing me a live feed. Someone had looped it. I aimed the shotgun at the door and unlocked the first 2 bolts. I left the chain secured, pulled the door open 3 inches, and looked through the gap. Empty hallway. A small black speaker had been attached to the wall beside the door. Fishing line ran from it to the handle, tied tightly enough to pull it down from around the corner. The speaker's green light blinked. A voice came through it. Not Lena's this time. A calm male voice said, "Primary civilian has confirmed receipt." The speaker clicked off. I slammed the door and locked it. Behind me, Harlan groaned. He sat up 20 minutes later with no memory of drinking the coffee. By then, the speaker was gone. I had stepped into the hallway only long enough to check both corners and call Serrano again. When I returned, the wall beside dispatch was bare except for a strip of black adhesive. Whoever had planted it was still inside the building, or had access to somewhere I could not see. I told Harlan there had been a system intrusion. I did not mention Lena. I did not mention the file with my name on it. I did not mention that someone had drugged him, because Lena had told me not to trust anyone connected to the county, and Harlan had been wearing a county badge for 16 years. At 3:06, the unauthorized alert disappeared from every phone in Bellwether. No cancellation notice followed. The sheriff's office received 32 calls from residents asking what had happened. I was instructed to tell them the message had been sent during a software test. At 3:40, Sheriff Holt called personally. "Do not create panic over a technical error," he said. "I didn't send it. No one said you did. You called it a technical error before anyone examined the system." He went quiet. Then he said, "Go home when your shift ends, Noah." The line disconnected. I left at 6 through the fire exit. A black emergency management van was parked across the street. Its engine was running, but no one sat behind the wheel. I drove past my apartment without slowing. Miles Kerr opened his garage at 7 every morning, even though most customers did not arrive until 9. He said the early hours were the only time people left him alone. When I pulled into the lot, the bay door was halfway up. Miles stood beneath it with a cigarette in one hand and a chain in the other. He looked older than 30. We all did after Lena disappeared. "What happened to you?" he asked. I got a call. That's generally the idea at dispatch. From Lena. The chain slipped from his hand. It struck the concrete with a sharp metallic crack. Miles stared at me. Then he looked toward the road. "Come inside." He shut the bay door and locked it. The garage smelled of oil, cold metal, and the same industrial soap his father had used when we were teenagers. A dismantled transmission occupied one workbench. Lena's old red thermos still sat on a shelf above it. Miles had never moved it. I told him everything. The alert. The vanished call record. The underground town. The participant file. The speaker outside dispatch. He listened without interrupting, which frightened me more than disbelief would have. When I finished, he lit another cigarette from the dying end of the first. "You haven't slept," he said. "I know her voice." "You knew her voice." "I spoke to her, or someone who sounded like her. She knew about the roof." Miles looked away. That conversation had happened above his garage, but he had left us alone before the storm arrived. "At her memorial," he said, "you told me she was the reason you stayed in town." "That isn't what she repeated." His jaw tightened. I placed my phone on the workbench and showed him the photograph I had taken of the participant file. The screen displayed only a gray rectangle. The image data had been corrupted. "I saw my name," I said. Miles rubbed both hands over his face. "Suppose you did. Why warn you? To make me run, or to make you investigate?" That's what Lena said. "You hear how this sounds, right?" "Yes." "Good." He walked to the office and returned with a dented metal box. Inside were copies of every missing person poster printed in Bellwether during the previous 9 years. There were more than I remembered. Most had vanished from shop windows within weeks. Bellwether did not like prolonged reminders. Miles spread them across the workbench. His brother Daniel stared up from the oldest one, 26 years old, brown hair, work jacket. Last seen leaving the Red Birch Tavern. The sheriff's report said Daniel had withdrawn $2,000 and left town after an argument with Miles. Miles had never believed it. "I started collecting these after Danny disappeared," he said. "Lena helped me. I thought she was investigating the reservoir. That came later." He arranged the posters by date. A nurse named Rebecca Sloan. A construction worker named Mark Bell. A bartender named Elias Crow. A warehouse loader named Jace Nolan. All adults. All described as unstable, indebted, intoxicated, depressed, or planning to leave. People the town could explain away. Miles opened an old laptop and showed me a folder containing screenshots of emergency alerts. Each warning had been sent late at night. Gas leak, escaped inmate, severe weather, police activity, chemical spill. Most lasted less than an hour. Lena noticed the pattern, Miles said. Every time one of these went out, someone disappeared. I counted the dates. 9 alerts. 8 missing people. What about the 9th? Miles tapped Daniel's poster. There was no official alert that night, but half the town remembers getting one. A shelter warning. Lock your doors. Stay away from the windows. The same basic instructions sent at 2:17 that morning. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "We tried." "No, Lena tried. You told me she was obsessed." "She was right." "I didn't know that. You knew enough to keep all of this." Miles struck the workbench hard enough to rattle the tools. I watched what it did to her. She stopped sleeping. She thought county vehicles followed her. She thought the sheriff was reading her messages. Then her car turned up at the reservoir, and you decided she had killed herself. I decided I didn't want another friend to disappear. The garage went silent. Miles looked down at Daniel's face. "I thought letting it go might keep you alive." My phone rang. Deputy Ana Serrano. I answered on speaker. "Where are you?" she asked. "With Miles." "Stay there." The call ended. She arrived 12 minutes later in plain clothes, driving her personal car. Anna locked the garage behind her and placed a large brown envelope on the workbench. "You didn't get this from me," she said. Miles opened it. Inside was a traffic camera photograph. The timestamp showed 4:11 a.m., taken 18 months earlier. 3 hours after Lena's abandoned car had supposedly been discovered at the reservoir. A county emergency management van was traveling south through Bellwether. The camera had caught the interior through the windshield. A man drove. Another sat beside him. In the back, Lena lay unconscious against the window with her wrists bound in front of her. I stared until the image blurred. Anna placed a second photograph beside it. The van entering the old quarry road. No image showed it coming back out. "They didn't find her car at the reservoir," Anna said. "They put it there." Miles leaned closer to the driver's face. All the color left his. I looked at him. "You know that man?" Miles did not answer. He folded the photograph, but his hands shook too badly to hide the face. Anna pulled it away from him. The driver was Sheriff Holt. The man in the passenger seat was Miles's father. Miles stared at the photograph until his father's face stopped being a person and became evidence. Ray Kerr had been dead for 8 months. A stroke took him in the garage office before Miles arrived for work. The funeral filled 2 churches. Ray had repaired half the town's cars, coached youth baseball for 17 years, and never charged widows for labor. Bellwether had called him one of its good men. In the photograph, he sat beside Sheriff Holt while Lena lay bound behind them. "That isn't possible," Miles said. Anna folded her arms. The camera timestamp was verified. My father wouldn't. He was in the van. That doesn't mean he knew. He turned his head toward her in the next frame. Anna placed a 3rd image on the bench. Ray was looking directly into the back seat. Miles took 1 step away. "What did he do for emergency management?" I asked. "Nothing," Anna answered for him. "He maintained their vehicles." Miles looked at her. "Your father serviced the county fleet under a private contract," she said. "The invoices were buried under public works expenses. Lots of mechanics work on county vehicles. Did they all have access to the quarry road?" Miles's face hardened. "You came here for something. Say it." Anna glanced toward the garage windows, though the blinds were closed. "I need both of you to understand that once we start, there's no version where we pretend we never saw this." "I passed that point when Lena called me," I said. Miles looked down at his brother's missing person poster. "I passed it 9 years ago." Anna gathered the photographs. The sheriff's office keeps archived emergency records in the courthouse basement. Holt ordered the older continuity files removed from the main server after Lena disappeared. "Continuity," I said. "The word from Lena's instructions." Anna nodded. "I searched it this morning. Current records are clean. Too clean." "Then why go to the courthouse?" "Because the county still uses a backup system installed in 2008. Nobody updates it because nobody remembers it exists." Miles gave a humorless laugh. "Bellwether's corruption defeated by outdated software." "Don't sound proud." We left separately. Anna went first. I waited 7 minutes before following. Miles came 10 minutes after me. At 8:30, the courthouse was filling with clerks, attorneys, and residents renewing vehicle registrations. No one questioned an off-duty deputy entering through the basement stairwell. They might have questioned 2 civilians following her, but Anna had taped a handwritten sign to the door. "Plumbing leak. Authorized staff only." In Bellwether, official-looking paper carried more authority than locks. The basement smelled of damp cardboard and hot wiring. Anna led us past tax records, election machines, and shelves of property deeds to a windowless room behind the boiler system. A beige computer sat beneath a plastic cover. Miles stared at it. "That thing can turn on? It handles payroll backups." That wasn't my question. Anna removed the cover and pressed the power button. The machine groaned awake. While it loaded, I watched the hallway through the open door. Every pipe knock sounded like a footstep. Anna entered her credentials. "Access denied." She tried an administrator account. "Access denied." "Porter," I said. She looked at me. "Lena told me to use Chief Porter's access." "You know his password?" "He used the same one for 7 years." I typed it. The system opened. Miles leaned over my shoulder. "That's comforting." The archive contained thousands of files with names meaningless to anyone who did not already know what they were searching for. I entered continuity. 43 results appeared. The earliest dated back 22 years. Most were budget requests and emergency preparedness reports. One folder had no description, only a red square beside its file number. I opened it. A title filled the screen. Bellwether Continuity Exercise Program. Beneath it were directories labeled Personnel, Transport, Scenarios, Participants, Outcomes. Miles pulled the door closed. I opened the participant directory. There were no names, only identification codes. BW041, BW042, BW043. Each code had an intake date, physical assessment, behavioral profile, and current status. Anna read over my shoulder. Volunteer records should have consent forms. There were none. I opened BW058, male, 26, auto mechanic. Intake date, 9 years earlier. Miles stopped breathing. No, he said. The physical description matched Daniel Kerr. A note at the bottom read, familial contact risk, moderate, public narrative, voluntary departure following financial dispute. Miles gripped the back of my chair. Current status, he said. I scrolled. Unrecoverable, nothing else. No date, no explanation. Miles turned away and pressed both hands against the wall. Anna opened another file. Rebecca Sloan, the missing nurse. Cooperative, transferred. Mark Bell, the construction worker. Unstable, retained. Elias Crow, the bartender. Unrecoverable. Jace Nolan, 24. Cooperative, active. The status categories repeated throughout the files. Cooperative, resistant, unstable, unrecoverable. They were not describing employees. They were describing inventory. I searched Lena's birth date. One result appeared. BW071 female, 27 at intake. The file included a photograph taken against a concrete wall. Lena's hair hung wet around her face. Bruising darkened one cheek. She was staring past the camera at someone outside the frame. Her status read, resistant, retained. A secondary note had been added 6 days earlier. Communication approved for target activation. The call had not been an escape. They had allowed her to make it. They wanted me to hear her, I said. Anna read the note again. To activate you. I searched my name. A personnel file appeared instead of a participant code. Vance, Noah, age 29, occupation, home address, work schedule, medical history, photographs taken outside my apartment, the grocery store, dispatch, and Miles's garage. One showed me asleep at my kitchen table. Someone had been inside my home. The evaluation section contained a short summary. Strong procedural memory, limited physical resistance, high attachment to BW071. Likely to pursue recovery attempt when presented with credible contact. Below it, classification, uncontrolled information exposure, recommended status, replacement required. Miles read the words twice. What does replacement mean? We've seen it before, I said. The missing adults whose families were told they had left. Anna opened the transport directory. Night schedules appeared alongside the dates of the false emergency alerts. Each alert created a 40-minute movement window during which roads emptied and witnesses stayed indoors. Sheriff Holt had approved every transport. Ray Kerr's initials appeared on 5 vehicle logs. Miles lowered himself onto a box of tax records. My father helped take him. Neither Anna nor I answered. There was nothing useful to say. I opened the program's site documents. The first map showed the abandoned limestone quarry outside town. Public sections were marked in gray. Restricted tunnels appeared in red. They extended beneath the quarry offices, then east through the rock. A second map showed deeper levels. Replica streets, training blocks, medical rooms, holding sectors. The final layer loaded slowly. At first, I thought the scale was wrong. Then I recognized the road pattern, Main Street, the courthouse, the sheriff's office, my apartment building, Miles's garage. The underground tunnels did not stop at the quarry. They stretched beneath nearly every block in Bellwether. A blinking marker appeared directly below the courthouse. Service Access 3B. Miles looked at the concrete floor beneath our feet. Something struck it from below. One heavy metallic blow. Then another. The computer displayed a new notification. Service Access 3B opening. The floor split open beneath us. A rectangle of concrete lifted 6 inches on hidden hinges, releasing a breath of cold air that smelled of wet stone and machine oil. Anna drew her pistol. Miles stepped back from the opening. The computer flashed again. Service access 3B open. A metal ladder descended into darkness below the courthouse. Someone had built a tunnel directly beneath county records and concealed it under boxes no one moved. A pale light switched on at the bottom. Then a man's voice rose through the opening. "Deputy Serrano?" Anna aimed into the shaft. No one appeared. The voice came again. "We know you're armed," Miles whispered. "Close it." I grabbed the edge of the concrete hatch and pulled. It did not move. A motor had locked it in place. The computer screen changed. A live security image filled it. The three of us stood beside the opening, viewed from a camera hidden somewhere above the basement door. Beneath the image, a timer began counting down. Anna unplugged the monitor. The screen stayed on. 1:56. "We leave now," she said. We ran. The basement corridor ended at the stairwell, but the door at the top would not open. Anna struck it with her shoulder. Locked from the other side, Miles pulled the plumbing sign away from the handle. A steel bar had been slid through the outer latch. The timer continued behind us, visible through the records room doorway. 01:31. A mechanical hum started beneath the floor. I remembered Lena's words. "When the second alert comes, don't go home." My phone vibrated. So did Anna's. Then Miles's. A new emergency message appeared. "Gas leak reported near County Courthouse. Evacuate immediately." The building above us erupted with movement. Doors slammed. Shoes pounded across the lobby. Voices shouted instructions. "They're clearing the building," Anna said. "For us?" I replied. The hum beneath the floor grew louder. Miles kicked the stairwell door once, then again. It held. Anna aimed at the lock. "Move." The gunshot deafened us in the narrow corridor. The first round tore metal from the frame. The second broke the latch. Miles drove his shoulder into the door, and it opened far enough for us to squeeze through. We emerged behind the courthouse as employees and residents poured from the front entrance. A fire engine approached with lights flashing. Anna stopped. No one called this in. The engine turned toward the courthouse. 2 county emergency management vans followed behind it, the same model used to transport Lena. "We split up," Anna said. "Do not go home." "Where do we meet?" Miles asked. "The old water tower. 20 minutes." We separated before the vans reached the parking lot. I crossed 2 alleys, cut through the pharmacy loading bay, and borrowed a bicycle chained behind the laundromat. I left cash with a note promising to return it. The streets were filling with people drawn by the alert. Everyone moved away from the courthouse. I was the only person heading toward the south edge of town. The old water tower had been abandoned since a newer reservoir system opened. It stood behind a chain-link fence in a field of waist-high weeds. Miles arrived first. Anna came 5 minutes later carrying a county radio and a canvas evidence bag. "What did you take?" I asked. She removed a printed copy of the quarry maps. "When the warning appeared, I sent the files to the basement printer." Miles studied the pages. "You expect us to go down there?" "We already know they're under the courthouse," Anna said. "Now they know we found the access point. That doesn't answer me." She spread the maps across the hood of her car. The quarry annex had 3 visible entrances. One faced the old office building, another connected to a collapsed rail tunnel. The third followed a drainage channel from the northern ridge. "The main entrance will be watched," Anna said. "The rail tunnel was sealed after a cave-in." "So the drain," I said. She nodded. Miles stared at the map. "They let Lena call. They opened the courthouse hatch. They know we'll come." "Yes," Anna said. "And we're still going?" I looked at Lena's file in my memory. Resistant, retained. "We need proof that survives even if we don't." Anna handed each of us a small body camera from the evidence bag. "Local storage," she said. "No wireless signal. Record everything." Miles clipped his to his jacket. "If my father helped them, there may be records in that place." "There may also be people," I said. He folded the map. Then we stopped talking and get to it. The drainage channel began behind an abandoned stone processing plant 2 miles from the quarry. We parked in the tree line and approached on foot. The entrance looked like a concrete pipe half buried under brush. Rusted bars had once covered it, but someone had cut through them recently. Fresh boot prints marked the mud. We switched on the cameras. Anna went first with her pistol and flashlight. Miles followed. I entered last. The pipe narrowed after 50 feet, forcing us to crouch through ankle-deep water. The town disappeared behind us until the only sounds were breathing, dripping water, and the scrape of our shoes against concrete. After 10 minutes, the drain opened into a larger tunnel reinforced with old timber beams. Electrical cables had been fastened along one wall. They were new. We followed them. The tunnel climbed, then ended at a steel maintenance door fitted with a card reader. Anna tried her county badge. The light turned red. Miles examined the hinges. We're not getting through quietly. A green light appeared. The lock released on its own. None of us moved. "They're inviting us," Miles said. Anna opened the door. Beyond it was a clean corridor illuminated by fluorescent strips, gray walls, polished floor, no dust. A sign pointed left. Training operations. Another pointed right. Observation. No alarms sounded. We chose observation. The corridor passed empty offices and storage rooms filled with medical equipment. Sealed boxes held restraints, emergency blankets, IV tubing, and numbered clothing. One room contained rows of personal belongings in plastic bags. Wallets, phones, keys, shoes. Miles found Daniel's name written on a tag attached to a cracked wristwatch. He put the watch in his pocket without speaking. We moved deeper. A door labeled Surveillance B stood open. Inside, dozens of monitors covered one wall. Most showed Bellwether. The real Bellwether. Main Street from several angles. The sheriff's parking lot. The pharmacy. The diner. Apartment hallways. Back gardens. Living rooms. One camera showed Miles's garage. Another showed the inside of Anna's car. Then I found my kitchen. The view came from above the refrigerator. My table sat beneath it, covered with unopened mail and the mug I had left there before work. I stepped closer. On the monitor beside it was the same kitchen. Almost. The cupboards were the same color. The table held the same scratches. The curtains matched. But the refrigerator door opened from the opposite side. A coat I had thrown over a chair that morning was missing. The room was not mine. It was a copy. Miles found his garage on 2 screens, one live, one replicated. Anna stared at a feed showing the sheriff's office, reconstructed underground with the desks arranged exactly as they were above us. "This isn't training," she said. A camera in the copied sheriff's office shifted. It moved by itself, panning toward an open doorway. A woman stepped into view. Thin, barefoot. A winter coat hung over a pale hospital gown. Lena. She walked unsteadily into the artificial street. I moved so close to the monitor my breath fogged the glass. Lena. She stopped beneath a fake street lamp. Slowly, she turned toward the camera. Her face was bruised. Her hair had been cut unevenly near one ear, but she was alive. She reached inside her coat and pulled out a piece of cardboard. Black words had been written across it. "Don't come down." She turned it over. "They need you to." The surveillance room door slammed behind us. Red lights began flashing. Every monitor changed at once. The feeds disappeared. A message replaced them. Recovery scenario initiated. Somewhere beyond the walls, heavy doors opened. Anna ran to the exit and pulled. Locked. Miles grabbed a chair and struck the small glass panel beside the handle. It shattered on the second blow. He reached through and triggered the release. The corridor outside had gone dark, except for red emergency lights. Boots pounded from both directions. Anna pointed toward a service stairwell. We ran. A man stepped from a doorway ahead of us wearing black tactical gear and a face shield. Anna fired once. The round struck his shoulder armor and spun him into the wall. More figures appeared behind him. We reached the stairwell, descended 2 levels, and found another maintenance tunnel. This one led upward. Gunshots cracked behind us, striking concrete. We ran without looking back. The tunnel narrowed, then opened into the quarry's abandoned rail passage. Daylight appeared through a gap in the collapsed entrance. Miles squeezed through first. Anna followed. I crawled out as voices echoed behind us. We reached the woods and kept moving until the quarry vanished between the trees. Only then did Miles stop. He leaned against a trunk, breathing hard. A small black object fell from inside his jacket. Anna raised her pistol. It was a tracking device. Compact, magnetic, active. Miles stared at it. I didn't put that there. I picked it up. 3 letters had been scratched into the metal casing. D.K. Daniel Kerr, Miles's missing brother. Behind us, somewhere inside the quarry, a siren began to rise. The tracking device stopped transmitting when Anna crushed it beneath her boot. The siren inside the quarry did not. It followed us through the trees, rising and falling behind the ridge like something calling the town to attention. We reached the cars without seeing anyone pursue us. They had armed personnel, cameras, our addresses, and access to the county alert system. If they wanted us stopped on that road, we would not have made it half a mile. They had let us leave. Anna opened the trunk of her car and removed the memory cards from our body cameras. "We make copies before we watch anything," she said. Miles stood beside her, turning Daniel's cracked wristwatch over in his hand. The hands had stopped at 11:42. "Why put Danny's initials on a tracker?" he asked. "They knew you would recognize them. So it wasn't tracking us. It was steering us." Anna placed the cards inside an evidence envelope. Everything tonight was steering us. Lena on the monitor, the unlocked maintenance door, the copied buildings, the tracking device. They wanted us frightened, but not dead. Not yet. Anna drove us to a hunting cabin owned by her uncle 6 miles north of town. It had no internet connection, no landline, and no neighboring houses close enough to see the lights. We copied the footage onto 3 separate drives. Most of it was clear. The tunnel, the medical supplies, the bags of personal belongings, the surveillance feeds. Then we reached the moment Lena appeared on the monitor. The image broke into static. Every camera failed at exactly the same second. When the feed returned, we were already running through the corridor. "They erased the only part that proves she's alive," Miles said. "They didn't erase the belongings," Anna replied. "Or the hidden facility. That proves crimes. It doesn't prove who committed them." My phone had been powered off since the water tower. I removed the battery anyway and placed it beside Anna's. Miles kept his on. Anna noticed. "Turn it off. I need to make a call." "To whom?" "My mother." "No. She lived with my father for 37 years. That makes her dangerous or vulnerable. Possibly both." Miles's eyes narrowed. "She deserves to know what he did. You don't know what he did. I saw him in the van. And the people running that place know you saw him. Calling your mother tells them exactly where your head is." Miles looked ready to argue. Then the cabin's radio switched on. None of us had touched it. Static filled the room. A woman's voice emerged beneath it. "Clara Venn." The static swallowed the name. Then the radio went dead. Anna unplugged it from the wall. "Does that name mean anything to either of you?" I had seen it somewhere. "Not in the participant files. In the personnel directory. Emergency management," I said. "She was listed in the older records." Anna used an offline county directory stored on her laptop. Clara Venn, 64, former continuity coordinator, retired 11 years earlier. Address, 88 Larkspur Road. Miles gave a bitter laugh. "They're giving us witnesses now. Or bait," Anna said. "Everything is bait." I looked at the frozen image of the surveillance room. "They want us to understand something." Anna closed the laptop. "No. They want us to understand exactly what they choose." Clara lived outside Bellwether in a narrow farmhouse surrounded by dead apple trees. We arrived shortly before noon. No vehicle sat in the driveway, but smoke rose from the chimney. Anna knocked while Miles and I waited beside the porch. The door opened before her hand touched it a second time. Clara Venn was small, silver-haired, and dressed in a dark sweater buttoned to the throat. She looked at each of us. Then her eyes settled on the cracked watch in Miles's hand. You went inside, she said. Anna kept one hand near her pistol. You know what that is? I know whose it was. Miles climbed the porch steps. You knew Daniel? Clara moved aside. We shouldn't speak outdoors. Her house smelled of wood smoke and old paper. Every curtain was closed. The walls held framed photographs of emergency crews, fire drills, collapsed bridges, and ribbon-cutting ceremonies. One photograph showed the quarry facility before it had been abandoned. A younger Clara stood beside Sheriff Holt and Dr. Silas Reed. Reed was 20 years younger, but I recognized him from county billboards advertising emergency preparedness grants, keeping Bellwether ready. Clara noticed me looking. He was a psychologist then, she said, not a director. What was the facility? Anna asked. Clara sat at the kitchen table. At first, exactly what we said it was. She waited until we joined her. The quarry was converted during the Cold War. Shelter capacity, communications testing, continuity planning. Most of it was decommissioned before any of you were born. What about the copied town? I asked. That came later. She poured 4 cups of coffee without asking whether we wanted any. After a refinery explosion in another county, investigators found that emergency crews performed well in classrooms and failed in real streets. Smoke changed people. Screaming changed them. Crowds changed them. So Bellwether built a training site, Anna said, using the quarry chambers. We started with 1 street, then houses, shops, a clinic. Firefighters trained there, paramedics, police, disaster teams. With volunteers? Miles asked. Clara looked at him. In the beginning, she explained that professional actors had played injured civilians, hostages, rioters, grieving relatives, and frightened residents. The exercises became popular. Departments traveled from other states. Federal money arrived, then private contractors arrived with it. They wanted realism, Clara said. Actors anticipated commands. They knew the weapons were unloaded. They knew the buildings would not truly collapse. Their fear could not be measured because it wasn't real. Anna's face tightened. What did Reed propose? Clara wrapped both hands around her cup. Unprepared participants. She said the first recruits had agreed. Adults with debts, people sleeping in cars, recovering addicts desperate for work, former prisoners unable to find employment. They were promised several $100s for 1 night inside a controlled exercise. Some were paid, some were injured. Those who complained had signed contracts they could not afford to challenge. Then the contracts changed, Clara said. Housing was offered, medical treatment, debt relief, longer placements. Placements, Miles repeated. That was the word. And when people stopped agreeing? Clara stared into her coffee. Bellwether was dying. The quarry program employed hundreds indirectly. Hotels filled, restaurants stayed open. County roads were repaired through preparedness grants. The hospital received equipment. The sheriff's department expanded. If the facility closed, she said, the town lost everything. So they started taking people, I said. No one called it taking. What did they call it? Alternative recruitment. Miles stood so quickly his chair tipped over. My brother was dragged into a van. Clara did not flinch. Daniel had gambling debts. Your father was told Daniel would work at the facility for 6 months and return with the debt cleared. You knew my father? Yes. Did he sign something? Clara looked at the watch in Miles's hand. Ray signed the transport authorization. Miles struck the table with both palms. Did he know what would happen? No. The answer came quickly. Too quickly. Miles heard it too. Clara lowered her gaze. He knew Daniel could not leave until the contract was fulfilled. He did not know what the exercises had become. When did he find out? After Daniel was classified unrecoverable. Miles's face emptied. What does that mean? Clara did not answer. He stepped toward her. What does it mean? It means he died during an exercise. The kitchen went still. Miles sat down again, but only because his legs seemed unable to hold him. Clara continued quietly. Your father tried to expose them. Reed showed him the authorization with his signature. Holt told him he would be charged as an accomplice. After that, they used him for transports. You're saying he kept helping them. I'm saying they convinced him that cooperation protected you. Miles looked away. I thought of the photograph. Ray in the passenger seat. Lena unconscious behind him. Did families sign away the others too? I asked. Sometimes. Clara opened a drawer and removed a black ledger. Inside were names, dates, payments, and agreements. Mortgage balances erased. Hospital bills settled. Charges reduced. Jobs promised. Several entries were marked family authorization. The town council approved a victim compensation fund. That was not its official name. Families were told their relatives had volunteered for classified work. Some believed it. Some chose to. Anna turned the pages. These payments came from county development accounts and private donations. I saw my surname. Vance. Noah. Education grant. The date matched the year I left for college. Amount, $42,000. My mother had told me the scholarship came from a regional public service foundation. Why am I in this? Clara looked tired rather than surprised. The continuity program funded your tuition. I never applied to them. Your father did. My father had died before my second year. I remembered him smiling when the acceptance letter arrived, telling me something good had finally happened to our family. What did he give them? Clara turned one page. A woman's name had been crossed out. Mara Vance, my father's younger sister. She had supposedly left Bellwether when I was 11. No one in the family heard from her again. I closed the ledger. The room had become too warm. They bought my education with her. Yes, Clara slid a white access card across the table. A faded photograph identified her as senior continuity coordinator. Why help us? Anna asked. Because I helped build it. That didn't bother you for 20 years? It bothered me every day, but not enough to stop. Clara accepted that without defense. The card will open the Western Service entrance during supply intake. After that, you will need Reed's authorization. You expect us to go back, I said. They expect you to go back. What's the difference? Now you know rescue attempts are part of the program. They observe loyalty, panic, sacrifice, betrayal. If you enter looking for Lena, they will already have designed an exercise around you. Miles picked up the card. Who signed Lena's authorization? Clara looked toward the dark window. Her mother was paid. I remembered Lena telling me not to come down, the bruises on her face, the cardboard warning. Clara shook her head. But her mother did not authorize the transport. Who did? Clara looked directly at Miles. The request came from someone listed as her primary personal contact. Miles went pale. I understood before he spoke. At the time Lena disappeared, her emergency contact had not been her mother. It had been him. Miles denied it before anyone accused him. I never signed anything. Clara remained seated. You were listed as Lena's primary contact. That doesn't mean I authorized her transport. No, it means someone used your identity. Anna pulled the ledger closer. What did the request contain? Clara opened a thin folder hidden beneath the back cover. Inside was a copied form bearing Miles's name, address, and signature. The signature looked convincing. Miles stared at it. I didn't write that. Did anyone have access to your paperwork? Anna asked. My father. Clara nodded. The authorization had been submitted 11 days before Lena disappeared. It described her as emotionally unstable, financially distressed, and at risk of harming herself. The form claimed that temporary placement in a private recovery program had been discussed with her family. Every lie matched the story told after her car was found. The suicide had not covered the abduction. The paperwork had created the suicide before it happened. Miles tore the copied form in half. Clara watched the pieces fall onto her table. The original still exists. Where? Medical intake. At the facility? Yes. Miles picked up the access card. Then we get it. Anna stood. We are not charging back inside because you feel guilty. My father used my name. And the people under that quarry know exactly what guilt will make you do. He signed Lena away. Possibly. Miles turned on her. You saw him in the van. I also saw a facility manipulate us from the moment Noah answered that call. They faced each other across Clara's kitchen. I understood both of them. Anna wanted evidence, a plan, and some chance of survival. Miles wanted one document that proved where his father's choices ended and his own began. I wanted Lena. That made me the easiest of us to control. When is the supply intake? I asked. Clara looked at the clock. 4 this afternoon. Less than 3 hours. Anna shook her head. Too soon. That is why it works, Clara said. They will expect you to spend days watching entrances and contacting people you believe you can trust. They'll still expect us today. Yes, but expectation is not the same as preparation. She drew the facility layout from memory. The western entrance opened into receiving. Deliveries were checked by 2 employees and moved down a freight corridor toward the medical wing. Lena's holding sector was 1 level beneath it. There are blind areas, Clara said. Or there were when I worked there. When was that? Miles asked. 11 years ago. So the plan is based on an old woman's memory of a facility that watches us inside our homes. Clara met his eyes. The plan is based on the fact that you are going whether I help you or not. She gave Anna a second card. Mine opens the outer door. This one belonged to Dr. Reed's former deputy. It may still authorize internal lifts. Anna packed the ledger into her evidence bag. Clara stopped her. That never leaves this house. It's proof. It's the only reason I'm still alive. Anna removed her phone, photographed every page, then returned the book. We left Clara sitting at the table beside 4 untouched cups of coffee. At 3:47, a refrigerated supply truck turned onto the quarry road. We followed in Ray Kerr's oldest tow truck. Miles had kept it parked behind the garage after his father died. The county maintenance logo remained faintly visible beneath years of dirt. Clara had given us a delivery manifest number used for medical shipments. That got us through the outer gate. The guard barely looked up. The western entrance stood inside a concrete loading bay cut into the quarry wall. Security cameras followed us as Miles reversed beside the supply truck. We wore work jackets, caps, and body cameras concealed beneath our clothes. Anna carried no visible weapon. Her pistol was strapped beneath a medical delivery crate. The truck driver unloaded insulated containers while 2 employees scanned labels. Neither of them questioned us. That was the first sign something was wrong. The second was the open service door. Clara's card unlocked it before Anna touched the reader. Miles looked at me. They know. Keep moving. We carried the empty crate through. The corridor beyond was white, silent, and cold enough to sting my teeth. No alarm. No voices. No resistance. The door locked behind us. Anna retrieved her pistol. From this point, no one leaves the group. The freight lift accepted the second card. The display listed 6 levels. We selected medical intake. The lift descended. A speaker in the ceiling crackled. Welcome back, Noah. The voice belonged to the man from the dispatch speaker. Miles reached for the control panel. Anna stopped him. They want panic. The lift opened onto a hospital corridor. Fluorescent lights illuminated empty nurses' stations and rows of locked doors. The air smelled of bleach and damp concrete. A wheelchair rolled slowly across the far intersection. No one pushed it. Miles whispered, very subtle. We checked the first rooms. Empty beds, restraints hanging loose, cameras positioned above each mattress. In the 4th room, we found a man. He sat on the floor with his back against the wall, wearing gray trousers and a shirt marked with the number BW076. His head lifted when Anna opened the door. Jace Nolan. I recognized him from the missing poster. He was thinner now. His hair had been shaved close, and a healing cut ran from his temple to his jaw. Don't shoot, he said. Anna lowered the pistol slightly. Can you walk? Yes. Where are the others? He looked at the cameras. Not here. We're looking for Lena Ward, I said. His eyes shifted to me. You're Noah. Anna stepped between us. How do you know his name? Everyone knows his name today. A soft tone sounded overhead. Jace flinched. We have to move. Why? Because this hall seals during reset. Anna searched him for weapons. He offered no resistance. A circular scar marked the inside of his forearm where something had been removed. A tracker? She asked. He nodded. How long have you been here? 6 months. Where is Lena? Lower medical. Clara's map showed no lower medical level. Jace crossed to the nurse's station and pressed his hand beneath the counter. A concealed door opened behind a bank of cabinets. You've used that before, Anna said. They make us practice evacuations. He led us into a narrow passage between the walls. It was unfinished, crowded with pipes and electrical lines. You said they make you practice, Miles said. Practice what? Whatever the clients pay for. Jace moved quickly. Police raids, hostages, fires, riots. Sometimes they collapse part of a building and make rescue teams find us. With real injuries? I asked. He looked back. They score better when the injuries are real. We passed observation windows hidden behind mirrored glass. Beyond one was a furnished living room. A woman knelt beside a man covered in blood while masked officers shouted at her. Neither of them appeared to know the officers were coming. Is that happening now? I asked. Jace kept moving. There's always something happening. He told us participants were assigned roles through medication, threats, and rewards. Cooperative people received food, books, showers, sometimes supervised calls. Resistant people were isolated. Unstable people were transferred to medical. Unrecoverable people disappeared. Transferred where? Miles asked. Jace did not answer. We descended a maintenance staircase. At the bottom, he stopped before 3 identical corridors. Left, he said. Anna checked Clara's map. The medical wing should be right. They changed it. When? Before I got here. Anna studied him. You know this facility well for someone held in one room. Jace's breathing changed. Barely, but I heard it. He started walking left. Anna raised the pistol. Stop. He froze. How many times have you traveled this route? I told you, evacuations. Why wasn't your door locked? Jace looked at me instead of her. They said you would come. The corridors sealed behind us. Steel doors dropped from the ceiling with a crash that shook dust from the pipes. Miles grabbed Jace by the shirt and slammed him against the wall. What did you do? Jace did not fight him. They promised I could leave. Anna checked the nearest door. No handle. No card reader. What was the agreement? She asked. I lead you here. And then? They release me above ground. New identity. Money. You believe them? Jace laughed once. It sounded close to crying. Red lights replaced the white ones. A recorded voice filled the corridor. Unscheduled breach scenario commencing. Jace closed his eyes. I'm sorry. The wall beside Anna opened. A gloved arm reached through and pulled her backward. She fired once into the ceiling before the panel slammed shut. Anna! I struck the wall with both hands. No seam remained. Her voice came faintly from the other side. Keep moving! Boots approached from behind the steel door. Miles released Jace and searched the pipes for anything loose enough to use as a weapon. Jace backed away from us. A hatch opened above him. Hands dragged him upward. He screamed until the hatch closed. Then the corridor lights went black. A spotlight switched on over me. The speaker crackled. Primary civilian identified. Miles stood less than 6 feet away, but darkness swallowed him completely. The voice continued. Objective. Locate and recover BW-071, Lena. A digital timer appeared on the wall. 12:000. It began counting down. A second message appeared beneath it. Casualties authorized. The spotlight went out. For 3 seconds there was nothing but darkness and the countdown glowing on the wall. 11:59:42. Miles whispered my name. I reached toward his voice and found his sleeve. Don't let go, I said. The red emergency lights returned one strip at a time, revealing a corridor that had changed. The steel doors were gone. So was the maintenance passage. We stood inside my apartment, not a room resembling it. My apartment, the same stained ceiling above the kitchen, the same tear in the couch cushion, the same stack of unpaid bills beneath the television. Even the framed photograph of Lena, Miles, and me at the reservoir sat crooked on the bookshelf. For a moment, my mind accepted it. I had escaped. I was home. Then I saw the window. Beyond the glass was a dark street beneath an enormous concrete ceiling. Miles released my sleeve. "What is this?" I crossed to the kitchen. My father's old coffee mug stood beside the sink. A crack ran through its handle in exactly the same place as the one in my real apartment. I lifted it. The bottom was dry. "They've been inside my home," I said. Miles looked through the cupboards. Every shelf held replicas of my food, medicine, and dishes. Some were real. Others were empty packaging weighted with sand. "They didn't copy your apartment from photographs," he said. A speaker hidden somewhere in the room clicked on. A woman screamed outside. We moved to the window. A man staggered beneath a street lamp, clutching his stomach. Blood covered the front of his shirt. Behind him, 3 people in riot gear advanced through artificial fog. The man reached the pavement and shouted for help. Miles grabbed the front door. I stopped him. "That's the exercise. He's bleeding. That doesn't mean he's part of ours." The injured man looked directly at our window. "Noah." Miles and I froze. The man pounded on the building entrance. "They told me you would help." A recorded announcement sounded across the street. "Civilian disorder scenario active. Residents are instructed to remain indoors." The words matched hundreds of emergency warnings I had read over the years. The man outside struck the locked door again. One of the tactical officers raised a weapon. Miles pulled away from me. "We can't leave him." The weapon fired. The injured man collapsed. No blank round, no theatrical blood packet. His body struck the pavement and remained still. The countdown appeared on a television screen behind us. 11:54 minutes 03, a message followed. Primary objective unchanged. Locate BW071. Miles stared through the window. They killed him to stop us leaving. No, they killed him to learn whether we would. I searched the apartment. The body camera beneath my shirt was gone. So were my wallet, keys, and belt. They had changed our clothes while we were unconscious. Miles found 2 flashlights in the bedroom and a kitchen knife under the sink. The knife was blunt, a prop. "They give us what they want us to use," he said. I opened the front door. The hallway beyond matched my real building, except the wallpaper was 3 shades darker, and none of the apartment numbers followed the correct sequence. A camera rotated above the stairwell. I looked into it. "You wanted me to come down," I said. "I'm here." The camera stopped moving. Miles pulled me toward the stairs. "Don't perform for them. That's all we're doing now." We reached the street. The artificial town extended farther than I had imagined. Main Street ran between copied shop fronts beneath rows of suspended lights. The diner glowed at the corner. The pharmacy sign flickered. A church steeple rose toward the concrete roof, but ended 10 feet below it, unfinished and black. Everything was almost correct. That made it worse. The road was too narrow. The courthouse clock had no hands. Some houses had only painted windows. Others were complete down to curtains moving behind the glass. Artificial rain began without warning. Water poured from pipes mounted overhead, drumming against rooftops and washing the dead man's blood into a gutter. Miles crouched beside him. No pulse. A number had been written on the man's wrist. BW063. Miles closed his eyes. "Leave him." He looked up at me. "You said that way too fast. If we stop for every person they put in front of us, we never reach Lena." The sentence sounded like something Dr. Reed would say. Miles heard it too. He stood without replying. We moved toward the diner. Lena had appeared there on the surveillance feed. The building stood 4 blocks away, but the artificial fog thickened until we could barely see the next street lamp. Shapes moved inside it. Some ran. Others remained still. A young woman burst from an alley wearing a paramedic uniform. "Help me," she said. We kept walking. She followed. "My partner is trapped in the clinic." Miles glanced back. "What's your number?" The woman stopped. "What?" "Show me your wrist." She stared at him. Then her expression emptied. "You failed to assist emergency personnel," she said. A buzzer sounded overhead. The woman turned and disappeared into the fog. "They aren't all prisoners," Miles said. "No. Employees? Actors? Trainees? Maybe both." A truck engine roared nearby. We ducked behind a parked car as a county emergency management van rolled through the intersection. The vehicle stopped beside the dead man. 2 workers climbed out, loaded the body, and replaced it with another injured participant. They reset the street in less than a minute. Then they drove away. The replacement man began screaming for help. The scenario had restarted. Miles watched from behind the car. How many times do they do this? As many as they need. We reached the diner through the rear entrance. Every table held plates of untouched food. Steam rose from coffee cups as though customers had vanished seconds earlier. A jukebox played an old song Lena used to hate. The kitchen was empty. I moved toward the counter. A figure stood behind it. Lena. She looked smaller than she had on the surveillance monitor. Her winter coat hung open over the hospital gown. One ankle was wrapped in a dirty bandage. Bruises covered her forearms in different stages of healing. She held a broken bottle in both hands. "Stop," she said. I did. Miles came through the kitchen door behind me. Lena's eyes moved to him. All the fear in her face became anger. "You." Miles lowered the knife. "I didn't sign anything. You expect me to believe that? It was my father. Your name was on the form." "He forged it." She laughed without humor. "Of course he did." I took one step closer. "Lena." She aimed the glass at me. "I warned you. They used the call to bring me here." "I know. You knew they were listening. I knew they were giving me a chance to reach you. That isn't what your file said." Her grip tightened. "What file?" "Communication privilege approved for target activation." She looked toward the ceiling. "The hidden cameras. They told me if I made the call correctly, they would move me to a safer sector. And you believe them?" "No." Her voice broke for the first time. "I believed you would recognize that I was telling you not to come. I thought of the cardboard sign. They need you to. You knew I wouldn't leave you." That was what they were counting on. Miles set down the knife. "Where's Anna?" Lena stared at him. "Alive if they can still use her." "What does that mean?" "It means no one dies here until their death teaches someone something." The countdown appeared on the diner menu board. 10:47 minutes 18. Lena looked at it. "They gave you 12 hours?" "Yes." "Then this isn't a rescue exercise." "What is it?" "A containment exercise." She lowered the bottle and came around the counter. "They'll divide the town into sectors, release participants into the streets. Some will be told to help you. Some will be told you're dangerous. The tactical teams won't know which injuries are simulated." Miles stared through the diner window. "What happens when the timer ends?" "They clear the board." "Meaning?" "Everyone still in the active zone becomes unrecoverable." I looked at her bandaged ankle. "Can you walk?" "I've walked on worse. We need a way out." "There is one surface lift near the artificial courthouse." Miles nodded toward the street. "Then we go." Lena did not move. "You still think this place is a prison? What else would it be?" "A laboratory." She pointed toward the diner ceiling. "They don't just train emergency teams. They sell the results." "To whom?" "Police departments, military contractors, security companies, insurance groups. Anyone who wants to know how real people behave when rules disappear." Artificial thunder rolled above us. "They record who follows authority," Lena continued. "Who helps strangers, who abandons family, who becomes violent, who freezes, who lies, and the missing people?" I asked. "We're reusable variables." The word came out flat. I wanted to tell her she was not a variable. I wanted to hold her. Instead, I asked the question that mattered. Why keep you for 18 months? She looked at me. Because I kept surviving. A siren sounded outside. The diner lights shifted from warm yellow to red. Every door locked at once. A recorded voice filled the building. Phase 2 beginning. The fog outside turned black beneath the emergency lights. Figures emerged from side streets, dozens of them. Some wore hospital clothes. Others wore police uniforms, work jackets, or ordinary clothes stained with blood. Each person carried something that could be used as a weapon. Lena stepped away from the window. They told them we have the exit codes. Do we? Miles asked. No. The crowd began moving toward the diner. Miles picked up the kitchen knife again. A second voice came through the speaker. Dr. Reed. Calm. Clear. Almost kind. Noah, your friend has not been completely honest with you. Lena went still. A screen above the counter flickered on. Security footage showed Miles speaking to someone inside his garage. The date was 2 weeks before Lena disappeared. The man across from him was Sheriff Holt. There was no sound, but Holt placed a document on the workbench. Miles signed it. Lena looked at him. You said your father forged it. Miles stared at the screen. I don't remember that. Reed's voice continued. Memory is unreliable under guilt. The footage changed. Miles accepted an envelope from Holt. The image froze on the signature page. At the bottom was Lena's name. Miles backed away from us. They told me it was treatment. Lena raised the broken bottle. What did you think they were treating? Your panic attacks. The messages. Following county vans. You weren't sleeping. You signed me over. I thought they would hold you for 72 hours. You helped them put my car at the reservoir. No. Holt told me you identified my belongings. Miles looked at me. I already knew the answer. After Lena vanished, Miles had confirmed the shoes near the water were hers. I didn't know she was alive, he said. Lena lunged. I caught her arm before the glass reached his throat. She fought me with more strength than her body should have had. Let me go! The crowd struck the diner doors. The glass shook. Miles did not defend himself. I'm sorry, he said. Lena stopped struggling. For 1 second, grief replaced the rage in her face. Then the diner windows shattered inward. The crowd surged through. Miles overturned a table against the entrance while Lena dragged me toward the kitchen. Move! We escaped through the rear door into the alley. Overhead, artificial rain became a downpour. The town lights flickered. A tower rose above the far rooftops, its observation windows glowing white beneath the quarry ceiling. Lena pointed toward it. That's where Reed controls the sectors. Then that's where we find Anna, I said. Miles caught up behind us. Lena turned on him. You stay away from me. Miles looked stricken. I'm sorry. The announcement system boomed across the underground town. Civil disorder and containment exercise now active. Steel gates descended at the ends of every street. The artificial bellwether divided itself into sealed blocks. The crowd poured from the diner behind us. The timer burned red against the concrete ceiling. Then all the lights went out. The darkness lasted 9 seconds. Long enough for the crowd behind us to start screaming. Long enough for someone to grab my coat. I drove my elbow backward and felt it strike a face. Fingers loosened. Lena pulled me left, and Miles followed close enough that I could hear his breathing. Keep one hand on the wall, Lena said. The streets changed during blackout. Metal groaned beneath the pavement. When the red emergency lights returned, the alley behind us was gone. A steel wall had risen from the ground, cutting off the diner and everyone inside it. Ahead, the street had split into 3 corridors between windowless buildings. The observation tower remained visible above the rooftops, but the route leading toward it had disappeared. Miles stared at the new walls. They rebuilt the town while we were standing in it? They reconfigure it, Lena said. Keeps people from learning the routes. A loudspeaker crackled. Containment Sector 4 secured. A second announcement followed. Participants are advised that civilian targets may be armed. They're turning everyone against us, I said. They don't need everyone, Lena replied. Just enough. A door opened beside us. A woman in gray facility clothing stepped into the street holding a metal pipe. She was in her 40s, barefoot, with dried blood running from one nostril. "Give me the codes," she said. "We don't have them," Lena told her. The woman tightened both hands around the pipe. "They said my daughter goes free if I bring them your codes. They told 6 people that last month." The woman hesitated. Lena took one careful step closer. "They don't have your daughter here, Grace." The pipe lowered an inch. "How do you know my name?" "Because we were in medical together. Your daughter died before they brought you down." Grace's face folded. Then a red light flashed above the doorway. A voice spoke through a ceiling speaker. "Participant BW054 has failed compliance." Grace looked up. A dart struck her neck. She fell before I could catch her. Miles dragged her away from the doorway as 2 masked employees appeared behind the glass. The door locked between us. "Is she dead?" he asked. Lena checked Grace's pulse. "Not yet." A ventilation grill opened overhead. White vapor hissed into the corridor. Lena stood. "Run." We left Grace lying against the wall. That decision stayed with me longer than her face did. We passed through an unfinished house and emerged inside a replica supermarket. Most shelves were empty, but cameras watched from every aisle. Miles found an emergency exit blocked by concrete. Lena went directly to the pharmacy counter and pulled a handheld radio from beneath the register. "You knew that was there," I said. "They move the town. They don't move the equipment." She changed frequencies. Static. A recorded police call. More static. Then a woman whispered, "Noah? Anna?" The response dissolved beneath interference. Lena adjusted the dial. Anna's voice returned, strained but controlled. "I'm in operations. Upper control level. Are you hurt?" "Dislocated shoulder. Still useful." Miles leaned close to the radio. "Can you open the surface lift?" "Not from here. Reed separated local controls after the breach." "Where's the other control point?" Lena asked. "Artificial courthouse, records division." A burst of gunfire echoed through the radio. Anna waited for it to stop. "I found the participant database," she continued. "It's bigger than Bellwether." "How much bigger?" I asked. 14 active sites. Maybe more. Different contractors, same classification system. The supermarket seemed to tilt around me. Bellwether had always felt isolated, the kind of place the rest of the country forgot existed. Now I understood that forgetting places like ours was part of the design. "Can you copy it?" I asked. "I already did, but external transmission is blocked." "What about the emergency network?" A pause. "You can access that?" "I've spent 7 years sending alerts through it. That system is linked to the artificial courthouse. They use it to simulate public warnings." Lena understood before I finished. "We can broadcast from below." "To the town?" Miles asked. "To every device connected to the county system." Anna's voice dropped. "If you reach that terminal, I can feed you the files." A red warning appeared on the radio screen. "Unauthorized channel detected." "Anna," I said, "go to the courthouse. I'll keep the tower busy." The connection died. The supermarket lights came on aisle by aisle. Each screen above the checkout counters displayed our faces. Beneath mine, primary civilian. Beneath Lena's, resistant asset. Beneath Miles's, compromised cooperator. Miles looked away. The final screen showed a reward notice. "Recovery of compromised cooperator. 1 release credit." A crash sounded behind us. Participants entered through the loading area. We ran through the front doors. Outside, Main Street had reset. Storefronts now matched the real town almost perfectly. Even the faded mural beside the bank had been recreated. The difference was the people. Dozens stood beneath the artificial streetlights waiting for instructions. Some carried improvised weapons. Others wore restraints. A man in hospital clothing pointed at Miles. "There." The street erupted. We cut through the replica pharmacy as pipes, bottles, and broken furniture struck the windows behind us. Lena led us through the stockroom and kicked open a service hatch. It dropped into a crawl space beneath the building. We moved on hands and knees between electrical cables while footsteps thundered above. "What did they pay you?" Lena asked. Miles crawled behind her. "What?" "To identify her shoes." I heard him swallow. 20,000. Lena stopped. I nearly collided with her. "My garage was 6 months behind." Miles continued. "My father said the county would clear the debt if I signed the treatment form and confirmed the belongings. Holt said you'd been moved to a private clinic. You watched them call me dead. I believed you were gone. You needed to believe it." "Yes." The answer was so quiet I almost missed it. Lena started moving again. She did not forgive him, but she did not leave him behind. The crawl space ended beneath the real estate office. Lena pushed up a floor panel and we climbed into a room covered with maps. Not quarry maps. Bellwether property maps. Every house had been marked. Green circles identified residents employed by the program. Blue marked relatives who had accepted payments. Yellow marked people under observation. Red marked possible participants. Nearly a quarter of the town had a color. My apartment was red. Miles's garage was blue. Lena's mother's house was green. Pinned beside the maps was a list titled Community Stability Expenditures. The program had paid for hospital equipment, school renovations, road repairs, police vehicles, subsidized housing, and business loans. Beside each expense was a participant intake number. 1 person for an ambulance, 2 for a bridge repair, 3 for the hospital's new surgical unit, human beings converted into public improvements. Miles found the garage loan. The amount matched the money his father had received after Daniel disappeared. Under funding source was Daniel's participant code, BW058. "My father kept the garage with his life," Miles said. Lena looked at him. "No, your father kept it with Daniel's. We searched the cabinets. The first held authorization forms. The second contained death reports. Miles found Daniel's before I could stop him. The report was 6 pages long. Daniel had been placed inside a hostage scenario as an uncooperative civilian. A tactical trainee mistook him for an armed participant and shot him twice. The exercise continued for 43 minutes before medical staff entered. His death had been classified as a valuable procedural failure. A note beneath the report read, "Family contact managed through our care." Miles read the page without blinking. Dr. Reed had known Daniel was dead when he promised Ray that cooperation would protect him. Years of transports. Years of silence. All purchased with a lie. Miles folded the report and placed it inside his jacket. A small green light blinked beneath his collar. The tracker. He had not removed it. Lena raised the broken bottle. "You kept it." Miles pulled the device free. "I needed them to think I was still cooperating. You led them to us. I led them away from the courthouse." He placed the tracker on a wheeled office chair, pushed it into the hallway, and kicked the chair down a ramp toward the southern sector. Almost immediately, armed personnel appeared on a wall monitor and followed its signal. Miles turned back to us. "My father helped them because he thought obedience would save me. I'm done helping them choose what I survive." The loudspeakers activated. "Compromised cooperator has rejected recovery." Miles picked up a metal fire axe from the wall. The artificial courthouse stood across the street. Between us and it, tactical teams were sealing the intersections. Lena found a maintenance door behind the property maps. A narrow passage ran beneath Main Street toward the courthouse foundation. The timer overhead read 9:18:06 seconds. I looked at the records around us. Names, payments, deaths. Every ordinary improvement Bellwether celebrated had been built over someone the town agreed not to miss. "We don't just open the lift," I said. Lena nodded. "We show them." Miles tightened his grip on the axe. "And if the town already knows?" I remembered the colored circles covering the map. Some knew everything. Most knew only the part that benefited them. But almost everyone had accepted something. Then we make them watch what they paid for. We entered the passage. Behind us, the real estate office doors burst open. Dr. Reed's voice followed us through the speakers. "You still believe exposure will save them, Noah?" The passage lights turned red. Bellwether has seen the price before. A steel gate began descending ahead of us. We ran beneath it. Reed spoke one final time before it sealed. "The town simply preferred the reward." The steel gate struck the floor behind us. The impact shook dust from the ceiling and cut off the voices pursuing us. For a few seconds, the passage was silent. Then the lights ahead turned white. A camera rotated toward us. Dr. Reed's voice came through a speaker in the wall. "You have 8 minutes before that corridor fills with gas." Miles raised the fire axe. "Show yourself. You have already seen enough of me." The timer appeared on a small panel beside the camera. It began counting down. Lena kept moving. The passage narrowed as it approached the artificial courthouse. Pipes and cables ran overhead, carrying power, surveillance, and emergency signals through the underground town. I followed the labels until I found one marked, "Public Warning Network." "This line reaches the surface," I said. Miles examined the cable. "Can you use it here?" "Not without a terminal." The floor vibrated beneath us. Ventilation fans started behind the walls. Anna's voice broke through the nearest speaker. "Noah, can you hear me?" "Yes. I have 30 seconds before they cut this channel. Where are you?" "Control tower." Reed left 3 operators with me. "Left?" "They're no longer operating." I heard her breathing through pain. "Can you open the courthouse?" "I can unlock one door for 4 seconds." "Do it." The wall ahead split down the center. We ran. The door began closing before Miles reached it. He jammed the axe between the panels. Metal screamed against metal. Lena and I slipped through. Miles remained on the other side. "Come on!" I shouted. He pushed against the axe handle. The opening widened an inch. Gunfire cracked from the passage behind him. Miles flinched as a round struck the wall beside his head. "Go!" I grabbed his arm through the gap. He pulled free. "If I let go, this closes. We'll find another way." "No, you won't." More boots entered the corridor. Miles looked at Lena. There was no request for forgiveness in his face. Only exhaustion. "I was wrong," he said. "About everything." Lena stared at him through the narrowing opening. "This doesn't fix it." "I know." He looked at me. "Make them see Danny." The axe handle cracked. Lena seized the back of my coat and dragged me away. The doors slammed shut. A second later, something heavy struck the other side. Then the gunfire began. I stood frozen until Lena slapped me across the face. "He made his choice," she said. "Don't waste it." We ran deeper into the courthouse. The replica was almost exact. The same marble-patterned floor, the same wooden benches, the same framed portraits of former county officials, but the portraits had cameras hidden inside their eyes. A loudspeaker announced, "Compromised cooperator contained." I refused to believe the word meant dead. Not yet. Anna's voice returned through the building intercom. "Records division is on the 2nd floor. Reed is moving toward you. Can you send the files? When you access the emergency terminal, enter your dispatch number followed by my badge number." She gave me 6 digits. "I'll route everything through the alert network. What happens to you? Don't make this sentimental." A gunshot echoed through her channel. The connection cut out. Lena and I climbed the stairs. The 2nd-floor hallway contained rows of office doors, but only one had power. "Emergency coordination." The card reader rejected Clara's access. Lena backed away and kicked the door beside the lock. It did not move. I searched the wall. No hinges. No exposed panel. A small glass box beside the door held a manual fire alarm. I broke it with my elbow and pulled the lever. Sirens erupted. The courthouse fire doors unlocked automatically. The coordination room opened. Inside, 6 desks faced a wall of monitors. One displayed Bellwether above ground. Residents stood in streets, staring at their phones after the repeated alerts. Police had blocked the quarry road. Fire engines waited outside the courthouse. County vans moved through residential areas. Another screen showed the artificial town. Participants ran between sealed sectors while tactical teams pursued them. I sat at the central terminal. The system recognized me immediately. Welcome, Dispatcher Vance. No password request. They had built this moment for me. I entered my authorization number and Anna's badge code. A message appeared. External transmission available. Select content. Files began populating the screen. Participant records, transport footage, medical reports, payment ledgers, live camera feeds. Anna had found everything. I selected all of it. The system rejected the request. Public release requires director authorization. Lena searched the desks. Can you bypass it? Not from this account. The door closed behind us. Dr. Silas Reed stood inside the room. He wore no body armor. No weapon was visible. He looked like the man from the preparedness billboards. Silver hair, pressed shirt, calm eyes. The only difference was the blood on one cuff. You could have opened the lift, he said. Lena moved between us. Where's Anna? Alive. And Miles? Reed looked at her. His status is still being evaluated. She raised the broken bottle. He did not react. You don't need to threaten me, he said. Violence has already been authorized. You signed people into this place. I developed procedures. Bellwether supplied participants. People, I said. Yes. The word came without hesitation. They were people before they became data, Reed continued. That distinction is why the results had value. Lena lunged. Reed stepped aside and caught her injured wrist. She cried out. I hit him with the metal base of a desk lamp. He released her and staggered into a monitor. The screen cracked. Reed touched the blood at his temple and looked at it with mild curiosity. You think I am the thing that corrupted this town, he said. I arrived after Bellwether had already decided which lives mattered. He pointed toward the live surface feed. The council chose the funding. Families signed the forms. Police moved the vehicles. Doctors supplied diagnoses. Dispatchers cleared the roads. I didn't know. No one ever knows the complete system. That is how systems survive. He reached slowly toward the terminal. Lena pressed the glass against his throat. Authorization, she said. Reed looked at the bottle. You want the town to see? Yes. They already saw the new hospital wing. They saw repaired schools. They saw their taxes stay low. They didn't see the bodies. Some did. His calmness unsettled me more than anger would have. He believed this was not a confession. It was an explanation. You can expose Bellwether, he said. The public will be horrified for a week. Officials will resign. A contractor will be blamed. Then another town will accept the same arrangement under a different name. Authorize the release. And when every family sees what they signed, when your neighbors learn who sold whom, you will not save Bellwether. You will turn it against itself. That already happened. Reed smiled faintly. No. Until tonight, the arrangement was stable. I looked at the terminal. Director authorization required a biometric scan. Reed saw me understand. He moved first. His hand struck Lena's injured ankle. She fell. He reached inside his jacket. I drove into him before he could draw the weapon. We hit the floor. The gun slid beneath a desk. Reed pressed his thumb into the wound on my side where I had struck the courthouse door earlier. Pain folded me. He climbed on top of me and tightened one forearm across my throat. You were selected because you follow procedure, he said. My vision darkened. People like you keep systems functioning while telling yourselves you are only doing your jobs. Lena struck him with the broken bottle. The glass cut across his shoulder. Reed rolled away. I pulled myself to the terminal and grabbed his right hand. He fought harder than I expected. Lena pinned his arm against the desk. I forced his thumb onto the scanner. The terminal chimed. Director authorization confirmed. Reed stopped struggling. For the first time, fear entered his face. I selected every file again. Confirm public release? Yes, I said. I pressed the key. Every monitor went black. Then the county alert tone sounded. Above ground, phones lit across Bellwether. Televisions switched channels. Emergency radios activated. Screens inside the sheriff's office, courthouse, hospital, school, diner, and county vehicles displayed the same image. A live camera feed from the underground medical wing. Rows of restrained adults. Some were crying. Some stared blankly at the cameras. Others began shouting their names. The feed changed. Transport footage showed county vans collecting unconscious residents during shelter alerts. Sheriff Holt appeared in several recordings. Ray Kerr appeared in others. Then came the authorizations. Names filled the screens. Parents, partners, employers, doctors, town officials. Payment amounts appeared beside missing residents. Debt cleared, charges dismissed, loans approved, medical treatment funded. The broadcast showed Daniel Kerr's report. It displayed the time he was shot, the 43 minutes before medical intervention. The phrase, valuable procedural failure. I hoped Miles could see it wherever he was. Reed stood slowly. You have no idea what you've done. Through the live surface feed, people began leaving their homes. Some ran toward the quarry. Others moved in the opposite direction. At Lena's mother's house, the front door opened. Her mother stepped outside and looked up at the emergency screen mounted above the municipal bus stop. The authorization bearing her name appeared. Lena watched without blinking. The woman sank to her knees. The broadcast moved to the artificial town. The public saw the copied streets beneath Bellwether. They saw tactical teams firing on unarmed participants. They saw Grace unconscious where we had left her. They saw workers resetting bodies between exercises. Anna's voice entered the transmission. This is Deputy Anna Serrano. These images are live. The missing residents of Bellwether are being held beneath the Old North Quarry. Police radios exploded with conflicting orders. One voice commanded all units to secure the quarry. Another ordered officers to stand down. Sheriff Holt shouted that the transmission was fabricated. Then his personnel file appeared on every screen. Payments. Transport approvals. Recorded conversations. On the surface feed, 2 deputies turned their weapons toward him. Others remained at his side. Reed watched the division spread across the town. You see, he said, truth does not create justice. It creates dissent factions. An alarm sounded below us. Holding sector doors had opened. Hundreds of small camera feeds filled the monitors as participants poured into corridors. Anna had released them. Some ran for the surface lifts. Others attacked employees. Several tactical trainees removed their helmets after realizing the civilians in front of them were not actors. One trainee dropped his weapon. Another continued firing. The facility began tearing itself apart. The emergency terminal flashed. Surface access unlocked. Lena pulled me toward the door. What about Anna? A radio on the desk crackled. Her voice came through. Go. You're coming with us. I have the master controls. That isn't an answer. It's the only one you're getting. The tower feed showed smoke entering her control room. Figures were cutting through the outer door. Anna, get the survivors to the lift. The connection ended. Reed moved toward the gun beneath the desk. Lena kicked it away. I wanted to kill him. Reed saw it in my face. If you do it, he said, they will call it another exercise. Lena took my arm. We locked him inside the coordination room and ran. The courthouse lobby had filled with participants. Some wore gray uniforms. Others still carried props and restraints from their assigned scenarios. A man I recognized from a missing poster held the hand of a woman who could barely walk. A former nurse pressed towels against another participant's gunshot wound. No one knew which stairwell led out. I climbed onto a bench. The surface lift is under the courthouse records room. Faces turned toward me. Some trusted the instruction. Others backed away. The facility had taught them that every direction could be another test. Lena stepped beside me. It's real, she said. The doors are open. A loud crash shook the building. The timer vanished from the ceiling. A new message replaced it. Facility containment failure. People began moving. We reached the records room as smoke spread through the halls. The lift doors stood open. It could hold 20 at a time. There were more than 80 people in the lobby. Panic surged. I heard my own dispatch voice take over. Most injured first. Anyone who can walk stays against the walls. No pushing. The lift will return. To my surprise, they listened. Years of issuing instructions during fires, accidents, and storms had prepared me for that moment. I had spent my career helping the system move people. Now I used the same voice to move them out. The first group ascended, then the second. Gunfire echoed from the lower floors. The third lift returned empty. Lena stepped inside with 6 injured participants. I stayed at the door. She grabbed my hand. No, there are more coming. Noah, I'll take the next one. The alarm drowned out her answer. The doors closed between us. I turned back toward the lobby. Miles stood at the far end. Blood covered one side of his jacket. The fire axe was gone. He supported Anna with her good arm around his shoulders. For 1 second, none of us moved. Then Miles smiled. It was weak and exhausted, but real. "Did they see Danny?" he asked. "Yes." He nodded once. That was enough. We loaded Anna and the remaining injured into the next lift. As the doors closed, the artificial courthouse shook. Concrete cracked across the ceiling. The lift climbed. When the doors opened again, cold night air struck my face. We emerged beneath the real courthouse. The hidden basement hatch stood open. Residents crowded the corridor above us. Some reached down to help. Others stared at the survivors as if they were evidence of a crime they had personally committed. Sheriff Holt stood near the stairwell with a pistol in his hand. 2 deputies aimed at him. 3 aimed at us. Behind them, townspeople shouted names from the broadcast. Some demanded arrests. Some demanded the screens be shut off. Some insisted their signatures had been forged. A woman pushed through the crowd and saw her missing husband step from the lift. She screamed. He did not recognize her. The emergency alert tone continued across Bellwether, not warning anyone to remain inside now, broadcasting what had been hidden beneath them. Sheriff Holt raised his weapon. Anna tried to draw hers but collapsed against Miles. The deputies beside Holt hesitated. So did the residents behind them. The town had finally seen the truth. Now everyone had to decide which side of it they were standing on. Sheriff Holt pointed his pistol at me. For several seconds, no one moved. The courthouse basement was packed shoulder to shoulder with survivors, deputies, emergency workers, and residents who had followed the broadcast from their homes. Every phone still played live footage from beneath the town. Holt's face appeared on half the screens around him. Transport approvals, payments, recorded orders, his younger voice describing which roads should be cleared before an intake. "Turn it off," he said. I was not holding a phone. Neither was Lena. The emergency network was running from the facility's master system. Until someone reached Anna's control room or destroyed the transmitters, Bellwether would keep watching. Deputy Harlan stood 3 feet from Holt with his weapon drawn. His hands shook. "Put it down, Sheriff." Holt looked at him as though the betrayal were personal. "You know what happens if this gets out?" Harlan glanced at the people climbing from the lift. "It's out. You think the state will save this town? You think the government will admit what happened here?" "No," Anna said. Miles held her upright near the open hatch. Blood ran down his arm, but most of it did not appear to be his. Anna's face had gone gray. "I think they'll try to bury it," she continued. "That's why everyone is recording." Phones rose throughout the basement, dozens of cameras fixed on Holt. He looked at the residents behind him. Some had accepted money. Some had signed forms. Some had lost people without ever knowing why. Nearly all of them had benefited from something built with the program's funding. Holt's pistol lowered slightly. "You all knew," he said. The crowd shifted. "Not everything," a man near the stairs replied. "You knew enough." A woman shouted that her signature had been forged. Someone else shouted that Holt had threatened his family. A third voice demanded to know where his daughter was. The basement dissolved into accusations. Holt stepped backward. His heel struck the edge of the open service hatch. Harlan moved toward him. "Give me the gun." Holt looked down into the artificial town beneath us. Then he looked at the phones filming him. For the first time, I saw what he feared. Not prison, not the people he had taken, but being remembered as the man who did it. He raised the pistol toward his own head. Harlan crossed the distance before he could fire. They struck the floor together. The gun discharged into the ceiling. People screamed and scattered. 2 deputies pulled Holt's arms behind his back while Harlan tore the weapon from his hand. Holt did not fight after that. He stared at the open hatch and repeated the same sentence. "You all took the money." Maybe he was confessing. Maybe he was trying to make sure no one felt innocent. Paramedics moved Anna onto a stretcher. She caught my sleeve as they carried her away. "Reed? Locked in the coordination room. Then make sure he comes up alive." I understood why. A dead man could be blamed for everything. A living one could identify who paid him. State police arrived 38 minutes later. Federal agents arrived before sunrise. The first official statement described the underground facility as an unauthorized detention site operated by a private contractor. The second called it a rogue training program. The third said there was no evidence that any state or federal agency had approved the use of unwilling participants. That statement remained online for 11 minutes. Then Anna's files reached every major news outlet in the country. 14 facilities, shared classification codes, payment records, contracts bearing the names of security firms, police departments, insurers, and agencies that claimed they had never heard of Bellwether. By noon, the quarry road was lined with satellite trucks and families holding photographs of missing people. Dr. Reed was brought out shortly after dawn. He walked between armed officers with a bandage around his head and the same calm expression he had worn underground. Reporters shouted questions. He answered only one. A woman asked how many people had died. Reed stopped. "I don't know," he said. "That was not the primary measurement." The officers pushed him into a vehicle before the crowd reached him. Clara Venn surrendered that afternoon. She brought the original ledger, 3 boxes of correspondence, and handwritten notes documenting the program's expansion. Her testimony connected town officials to the first involuntary placements. She did not ask for immunity. She said she had already spent 20 years giving it to herself. 47 living participants were recovered from the Bellwether facility. 11 more were found in sealed medical rooms after the evacuation. 23 remained unable or unwilling to provide their names. The death records listed 86 people. Investigators found remains belonging to more. Some families received survivors. Others received dates. Miles received Daniel's watch in a plastic evidence bag. He sat beside me outside the courthouse when they gave it to him. The sun was coming up over Bellwether, revealing news vans, police barricades, and residents who had not gone home. Miles turned the broken watch over in his hand. "I kept thinking I'd find him alive," he said. "I know. I think my father did too." Ray Kerr had helped transport 5 people after learning Daniel was dead. Maybe fear had controlled him. Maybe guilt had. Neither changed what he had done. Miles understood that before I said it. "Don't make him better for me," he said. "I wasn't going to." He nodded. 3 days later, Miles walked into the State Police Command Center and confessed to signing Lena's treatment authorization, accepting Holt's money, and identifying her belongings at the reservoir. Investigators already had the evidence. He could have claimed coercion. He refused. His testimony helped prove that the program manufactured psychiatric histories before abductions and used trusted relatives to make disappearances believable. Miles accepted a plea agreement months later. He wrote to Lena once. She returned the letter unopened. Anna survived surgery and lost most of the movement in her left shoulder. The sheriff's department placed her on administrative leave, then fired her for unauthorized access to county records. By then, everyone knew the records had saved lives. She became a witness in 6 separate investigations and hated every minute of the attention. When a reporter called her a hero, Anna told him heroes usually arrived before the kidnapping. Lena spent 10 days in the hospital. The doctors treated fractures, infections, malnutrition, and damage caused by repeated sedatives. Those were the injuries they could name. She refused to see her mother. Her mother gave interviews insisting she had believed Lena was entering a private residential program. The payment records showed that she accepted debt relief 2 days after the reservoir search ended. Lena never publicly called her a liar. She did not need to. The signature appeared in every documentary, hearing, and article that followed. I visited Lena each morning. At first, she barely spoke. She slept with the lights on and woke whenever shoes passed in the corridor. She refused food delivered beneath covered trays. When an emergency alarm sounded during a test, she tore out her IV and tried to climb through the bathroom window. After that, the hospital disabled the speaker in her room. One afternoon, I found her standing at the window. News crews crowded the pavement below. "They want me to tell them what happened," she said. "You don't owe them that. They'll tell it without me." She was right. Strangers were already turning Bellwether into entertainment. They studied the footage frame by frame, built theories, and argued about which families knew the most. People wanted one villain, one explanation, one moment when the town had chosen evil. The truth was less satisfying. Bellwether had made thousands of smaller choices. A father signed a form. A deputy ignored a van. A doctor changed a diagnosis. A council member approved a payment. A dispatcher sent an alert without asking who benefited from the empty streets. I had transmitted 6 of them. I found the records myself. Each warning had arrived through an approved channel. Each contained a valid authorization code. I had followed procedure, issued the message, and returned to the next call. 6 nights when people locked their doors because my voice told them to. 6 movement windows. 4 confirmed abductions. I resigned before the county could suspend me. The new emergency director asked me to stay long enough to train my replacement. I told him the system already knew how to replace people. Lena left Bellwether after her discharge. She did not tell me where she was going until the morning she left. We stood outside the bus station while crews removed the old emergency display from the wall across the street. "I can come with you," I said. "No." The answer hurt, but not because it surprised me. She looked toward the courthouse. Every street here has another street beneath it. They're sealing the facility. That isn't what I mean. I understood. She hugged me once. Her body went rigid when I touched her, then slowly relaxed. "You answered," she said. "The call? When no one else did." I wanted that to absolve me. It did not. The bus carried her west. For the first time since we were teenagers, I let her leave without trying to follow. Bellwether never recovered. Businesses closed. Property values collapsed. The hospital returned equipment purchased through the program. Residents painted over names on buildings funded by continuity grants. Families sued one another. Some people claimed the town had been victimized. Others said victimhood ended when the payments began. Sheriff Holt died in custody before his trial. The official report called it heart failure. Dr. Reed remained alive. He gave investigators thousands of names and insisted he could not remember which belonged to participants and which belonged to clients. 8 months after the alert, I received an encrypted email. There was no sender. The subject line contained my old dispatch authorization number. Inside was a single sentence. Bellwether was not the first site to fail. An attachment contained a list of towns. Some I recognized. Most I did not. Beside each was a facility number, a contractor, and an emergency authorization code. 14 had appeared in Anna's files. The new list contained 37. I was still reading when my phone vibrated. The emergency tone made my hands lock around the device. The alert had not come from Bellwether. It came from a county 600 miles away. Shelter in place. Lock all doors. This is only an exercise. At the bottom of the message was the authorization code. I checked the list. Facility 22. Active. The alert map showed a rural town of 9,000 people. Its roads were already emptying. Its residents were already going inside. And somewhere beneath them, someone was being moved. I called the county dispatch center. A young man answered on the second ring. "Emergency services, what is your location?" "My name is Noah Vance," I said. "You just sent an alert." "Yes, sir. It's a scheduled test." "No, it isn't." He went quiet. In the background, I heard a phone begin to ring. Not his desk line. The 911 line. "Listen carefully," I said. "Whatever happens next, do not erase that call." He asked me how I knew someone would call. I looked at the list of names on my screen, then the emergency line stopped ringing. A woman began speaking to him. I could not hear what she said, but I heard his chair scrape backward. I heard him ask who she was. Then he whispered a name as though he were speaking to someone who had been dead for years. The line between us disconnected. On my phone, the shelter alert remained open. A fourth instruction appeared beneath the others. "Do not respond to anyone outside." What the? Then someone knocked on my door.